Oh boy, we get to talk about the time that the fourth largest army in the world got wiped out in under 100 hours. Here we go. Warpugs, it's the Fat Electrician. We're here for it. This is the bunker-busting Howitzer bomb that ended Desert Storm, okay? Desert Storm, for people that just don't know, was one of the most, like, it literally terrified everyone that wasn't on the America bandwagon because, quite simply put, Iraq got stomped out in the first, in the Gulf War. It wasn't even a war. It was an absolute butchering. And to those who had seen Operation Praying Mantis a few years before that, it was utterly shocking. Iraq had a huge army at the time. And by the time 100 hours were over, that army had been utterly crushed. Warpugs, I'm pretty sure he's not going to talk about that. I would love to hear him talk about it, however. General, if you want to see a little bit of history, General Schwarzkopf's media conference, it's a thing of absolute beauty. But he's going to be talking about the bunker-busting Howitzer bomb, which I know nothing about. I'm ready for it. You ready for it? Let's go, Warpugs. Let's go. Okay.
We're talking about that time that America...
We're doing that again because I screwed it up.
Today
There we go.
About that time that America may or may not have prematurely ended the Gulf War by creating a new type of bunker buster bomb known as the
It only lasted 100 hours.
GBU-28, which is literally the barrel of a howitzer that they filled full of explosives and dropped on the enemy. Yeah, Uncle Sam ran out of ammo and threw the entire gun at the enemy. But first, a word from our sponsor. This video is brought to you by Warwood Tools, where for over 160 years they've been making crowbars and axes and sledgehammers right here in America with American-grown wood and American-made 1060 high-carbon steel. And I'm going to have their link and a discount code in the description down below in case...
It's already down there, Warpost. Get yourself some good tools. When the hospitaler really wants to do homesteading at some point, and this is going to be, like, I'm seriously going to be, yeah, she's going to need this stuff.
She wanted to check him out. Let's get to this story.
Let's
buckle
go.
Up. This is going to be a history lesson and a half.
Let's do it.
Once upon a time on August 2nd, 1990, Iraq decides to invade Kuwait. Why would
Iraq
want to do this? Well, Iraq just got done having an 8-year-long war with Iran, and Kuwait helped fund it. If so facto, Iraq owes Kuwait billions and billions of dollars. Rather than pay all that money back, Iraq's penis potato, dictator, Iraq's dictator Saddam Hussein figures, rather than pay back all that money, I'm just going to invade Kuwait with my enormous army that's the 4th largest army on the planet at this point in time, take over Kuwait, and then I won't owe anybody any money. It's not...
It makes sense if you don't really think about it too much.
Ethical, but it does make sense. And then pretty much nothing happened for like 3 months. But then in November of 1990, Saddam Hussein would do what dictators do best and get a little too greedy. You see, he figured now that he was in control of Iraq and Kuwait, it was a significant portion of the world's oil supply, so he could actually slow down oil production, which would jack up global fuel prices, and he would literally make more money for doing less work. And while that was economically sound, it would turn out to be a tactical fucking error, because as soon as gas prices went up, the entire planet looked at Saddam Hussein like,
so you have chosen.
The UN Security Council would then hold another meeting where they would decide to tell Saddam Hussein, you have until January 15th, 1991 to be out of Kuwait or you will be forcibly removed. Fast forward to January 15th, he is elected to not leave Kuwait. Game on, teams are now set. We have Iraq versus America and a team of fucking literally everyone else. After 48 hours, January 17th, 2:30 a.m., American and coalition forces will begin their air campaign against Iraq. And there will be over 1,000 aircrafts involved. Everything from B-52s to Apache attack helicopters. It's going to be a warheads on foreheads extravaganza. And just
quite literally, the air campaign that the coalition waged against Iraq was unlike anything that you could possibly imagine. Just the after-action reports of this thing, the unclassified after-action reports, are worth reading when it comes to this stuff, because there was so much stuff going on during that air campaign that it just simply boggles the mind. Let's not even talk about the naval aspect of it, because any navy that Iraq had at the start of hostilities didn't make it past the 20-minute mark.
Just for context on how dangerous this mission is actually going to be, because I feel like most people don't know or don't understand how powerful the Iraqi military actually was at this point in time. They were the 4th largest military on the planet.
Yes.
And they were the most heavily fortified nation on
Yes.
Earth. As far as air defense goes, Iraq had 154 surface-to-air missile sites servicing 16,000 missiles, 972 anti-aircraft artillery platforms, 2,400 anti-aircraft guns, 6,000 mobile anti-aircraft guns, 478 early warning radar arrays, and 558 combat aircraft on standby, all ready to get in a fight. That being said, fast forward again 2.5 hours, January 17th, 5 a.m. American and coalition forces have complete air superiority over Iraq and have dismantled all of that shit.
I can't go into it enough how insane that is. Just how well planned out this attack was. That when it went through, there was nothing they could do about it. Didn't help that the Russians sold them a bag of hot air when it came to how good their equipment was, though.
And this is where the main problem arises. With complete air superiority, there's a good chance that they can actually make Iraq surrender without US and coalition ground forces having to go into Iraq. But the problem is the majority of the Iraqi senior leadership, as well as pretty much their entire command and control infrastructure, is located inside of bunkers right outside of Baghdad.
Right.
And these bunkers are 30 to 50 feet underground, and the walls are made out of 4 feet thick reinforced concrete. There's no bomb or weapon that America has that they can use from a plane to take out these bunkers. So America's gonna do the last thing you ever want America to do. They're gonna improvise. I mean, the obvious solution is just to make a bigger, better bunker buster bomb, but the problem with that is they don't have any infrastructure to make a bigger bomb, and they're not gonna be able to build that infrastructure and build the bomb in the amount of time it's gonna take before American ground troops invade Iraq. Because once they do, they're gonna be in a hurry because they're under the command of 4-star Army General Stormin Norman Schwarzkopf, aka the Bear. A man whose life motto was, when placed in command, take charge, and he does not think highly of his adversary. When asked what he thought about Saddam Hussein, he said, and I quote, you know what, no, he'll say it.
As far as Saddam Hussein being a great military strategist, he is neither a strategist, nor is he schooled in the operational art, nor is he a tactician, nor is he a general, nor is he as a soldier. Other than that, he's a great military man.
So they have to make this bomb in a hurry.
That comes from the actual a media conference that he did. You gotta look that up. It is worth watching.
If they want to prevent ground forces from going into Iraq. That's when somebody has the brilliant idea of using a howitzer barrel as the bomb's hull. I mean, it should work. It's a long, heavy piece of metal that's already heat treated, so it should penetrate concrete. And that's the idea they roll with. The Air Force gets a hold of the US Army. The US Army sends over 4 8-inch decommissioned M110 howitzer barrels to Watervliet Arsenal in New York. Watervliet Arsenal, being one of the most elite gun barrel manufacturers on the planet, gets to work immediately. They start milling and machining these barrels down to size so that they can fit pre-existing bomb components like nose cones and fins and so on. And Watervliet Arsenal tells the US Air Force they can have 4 of these bombs done in a week, which I cannot stress to you enough is absolutely insane.
Yes,
to be
it
able
is.
to machine 4 gun barrels that are 19 feet long and weigh 4,500 pounds each and are already heat treated is incredible. If you don't know about heat treating, when you heat treat metal, it becomes significantly harder, and that's actually why they needed the howitzer barrels, but it also makes it virtually impossible to machine. I mean, not impossible, but significantly harder to machine. Think about like trying to spread butter on toast versus trying to spread frozen butter on toast. That's about the difference there. So they get the first bomb done, but then they run into a problem. Because they've never worked with a bomb this big, they don't have any way to actually stand it up straight and be able to fill it with explosive. So if you can't pick a bomb up, what do? You beat the earth down. They take it outside, dig a hole, stick the bomb in the hole, standing up, so that they can fill this thing with explosive. They get that done, paint it, stick it on a C-130 while the paint is still wet, and ship it to Nevada. From there, they strap the bomb to an F-111, the same plane they plan on dropping it from in combat, and do a test run. This bomb penetrates the desert floor by over 100 feet. Okay, if you're not American, that's like the world's biggest blue whale, all the way into the ground. This bomb went so deep that they didn't even have time to recover it. They're like, fuck it, we don't have time. Storm and Norman's coming. We gotta go. Just leave it. Then, back at Watervliet Arsenal, they finish the second bomb. This time, they fill it with concrete because they want to do a rocket sled test in Aglin Air Base in Florida. So they get this thing done, fill it it with concrete, put it on a C-130 while the paint's still wet, ship it to Florida. From there, they strap it to a rocket sled and yeet it at 22 solid feet of reinforced concrete just to see how far it will penetrate. Not only did this bomb penetrate all 22 feet of concrete, but it then proceeded to go an extra half a mile. This video should have been my fucking Valentine's Day special with how much penetration is in it. It's incredible. So then, back at Watervliet Arsenal, they finished the last 2 actual bombs that are going to be dropped in combat, put them on a C-130 again, and ship them across the planet to Iraq. Now, bear in mind, all of this has happened in like a matter of 3 weeks. They have gone from retired howitzer barrels to new bombs, to testing them in Nevada, to testing them in Florida, to having them in an active combat zone in 3 weeks.
That's
which is
ridiculous.
the biggest logistical flex I may have ever heard of.
And not only that, at this point, I'm completely done hearing about how we need a whole bunch of XYZ and prep time and all this other kind of stuff to build a bomb like this. These, like, they did it in a warehouse with scraps. The hell?
Nothing stokes human creativity greater than the desire to kill somebody that you don't like. I'm not saying it's right, but goddamn it, it's the truth. Now, February 27th, these bombs are strapped to 2 F-111 aardvarks, and they are sent into combat to engage these bunkers. The first F-111 lines up his shot, and he fucking misses.
Didn't go in.
But the second F-111 drains a 3-pointer and gets a direct hit. Smoke immediately starts rolling out of the vents for this bunker, and it is completely obliterated.
Yeah.
And the very next day, Saddam Hussein would sign a ceasefire and agree to leave Kuwait. Now, did he do that because of this bunker buster bomb? That part is actually impossible to say, because despite the fact they got this bomb done and dropped in only 3 weeks, they still were unable to get it done quick enough before U.S. and coalition ground forces would invade Iraq. And in the 4 days that those ground forces were in Iraq, they completely decimated the Iraqi army, and parts of that army were already starting to surrender to them. So whether the reason that Saddam Hussein decided to surrender was because his army was defeated, or because he finally found out that he couldn't hide inside of his bunker anymore safe while he sent men out to die, is hard to say. But regardless, in conclusion, the overall moral of this story is whatever you do, try not to raise gas prices. Thanks for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang, out.
Unreal. Okay, so, like, I was a kid when this war went down. Okay, I was a kid. I just remember my dad. You know, my dad worked all the time, but when that war kicked off, he was at home and he was watching the news and constantly. And I was just sitting there with him watching the news about this war. And oh my God, the amount of stuff that we did to them was absurd. There's a literal highway in Iraq called the Highway of Death, because what wound up happening was when the Iraqi army decided they were going to flee Kuwait, which was a really good idea at that point because they were getting their shit ran at a level of just complete absurdity. A-10s just lined up on this highway where these guys were trying to get away and just buzzed it. There were just, you can, I mean, there's no real nice way to say it at all. This was absolute carnage. Like, look up the Highway of Death, because that's what it's still called to this day. Because, quite simply put, if you were on that highway and you heard the warthog, you were going to die. War pugs. Good times rhymes with war crimes. I'm going to take off from this. I hear about all these programs. We need to design a bigger, better bomb. And somebody had to be sitting there going, let's just do this. You don't need these huge spending programs or anything like that unless you're looking to looking to do something like completely amazing with the bomb. This is a bunch of guys just sitting there like, "Eh, we can do it. Give us that." It's perpetually amazing. Warpugs, all the links are going to be in the description down below, including to my own, including to my merch store, all that kind of stuff. I am heading out from here. My beard is starting to annoy me because I saw a gray hair in it. I'm an old bag. Warpugs, help. I'm out. I'll catch you guys next time, and hey, take care of yourself, Warpugs. Fourth largest army in the world. Less than 100 hours. Amazon can't beat that.